Hi, and welcome to another class on the science of the cards. Today we're going to talk about what you might know about some of the spreads in the cards and different little facts about the spreads that are very interesting. To start this out, I want to first explain how this works. Like when you look at the book, The Cards of Your Destiny, you'll see all of these spreads for every year of your life. These spreads actually come from what we call the grand solar spreads, which you see here in front of you. By the way, all this stuff is explained, most of it in the Exploring the Little Book of the Seven Thunders, which you can get on Amazon or from us directly. So what we're looking at here is the what we call the perfect spread or the spiritual spread. And if you notice carefully, if you go to the upper right hand corner, you'll see the Ace of Hearts, and the cards go in sequential order from right to left, all the way to the King of Hearts, and then to the clubs, diamonds, and spades. This spread here is the cards in what's called perfect order, or their natural order. And you can actually take a deck of cards and arrange them in this order, and you have what's called a natural book of cards. So those cards, this spread is not really read. It is read at age 89. If you live to be 89, you'll have this spread for you yourself, and it also appears for the most part at age 45, which we may or may not have time to get into today. But there's a special process called quadration. Quadration is a way of shuffling the deck, and it's a very mathematical process. And when you get done quadrating the deck, it turns into the life spread, which is basically one quadration over. And now the cards for more or less seem to be completely in different positions, and there doesn't seem to be any pattern to how these cards are arranged in this life spread. And this life spread, by the way, if you find your card on this spread, like mine is down here in what's called the Saturn row and the Mercury column, if you find your card, its position and the cards that go forward from it are what we call your life spread, and that's how we interpret the life of each person who has the card. What we're looking at here is a Queen of Clubs person, which sits here, and you can see their spread. They have in the first position Ten of Spades, and the first position happens to be Mercury. It goes in the order of Mercury to Neptune: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. And those are the cards in this person's life spread. You can see here, if I put the mouse over the Seven of Hearts, it says direct Saturn. It's the direct Saturn. And there's also cards vertically. So this is basically how we read the system. And actually, for every year, you keep quadrating the deck, and it creates new spreads. We can go to the age 1 spread. Let's see, this is the age 0 spread. It's the first year of life. But we can easily go to the age 1 spread. Let me see if I can do this or not. Hold on one second. I have to go to yearly and type in 1. Here we go. There we go. Now let's look at the age 1 spread. And that's how they look in the age 1 spread. And you can see that the Queen of Clubs has moved. It was over here where the Ten of Diamonds now is, and it's moved over to this spot. And they keep moving around. But in every year, if you're 1 year old, this is where you would find the spread. But what I want to talk about today is there's interesting patterns. And we're going to go back to the age 0 spread for a second, which is the most important one. And one thing that you'll notice that I want to point out is that the cards, which before they were not arranged in any kind of pairs, like two of the same number next to each other, now there's a bunch of pairs in the spread. For example, the 2 sevens you see here in the Venus column, the 7 of Diamonds and 7 of Hearts. The 2 nines you see in the Venus line also. You got 2 kings here in Mars, 2 tens in Jupiter, 2 aces in Jupiter. You got 2 threes in Saturn. You've got 2 fours in Neptune and 2 sixes in Neptune. All told, you have 8 pairs of cards in this life spread, which is very unusual when you think about it. Because when you go to other spreads, you're not going to find these pairs. But there are some very interesting patterns that are found, and I want to point out a couple of these. If we go to age, let's see if I can get there real quick, age 39. At age 39, we should have 7 pairs, and they're different cards than before. Now we have actually 3 9s here, which is interesting. We have 2 5s here. We have 2 8s here. We have 2 10s down here. I think I counted 7 total. There's 2 4s here, 2 3s, but they're in the different line than they were before, and so forth. So this is interesting. And this points out something, that you have these 3 9s together. That seems very unusual when you think about it. So now I want to show you another another very interesting one. And this is at age 43. Let me get to that. Hold on. And I think this is very interesting. It's very unusual when you think about it, because in the age 43 spread, you have 6 different occurrences of 3 cards of the same number in a row. So if you look up here in the Mercury line, you have 3 4s, okay? If you go down to the Mars line, you've got 3 5s. You've got, let's see, what's the next one? I'm just looking here. We have 3 3s. And we have 3 kings. There was another one. I think I've missed it somewhere. I did get the 3. Did I get the 3 5s? I forgot the 3 8s that are in the Mars line. There's actually 6 pairs of triplets. And if you go to age 88, which is 45 years later, and I'm just going to do that real quick. There actually ends up being 7 pairs of triplets, because now you have 3 aces, which you didn't have in the previous ones. So you got 3 aces, 3 4s, 3 5s, 3 8s, and you got a lot of pairs in here too. It's very interesting. So basically at age 43 and 88, everybody has somewhere in their spread, they have 3 cards of the same number in a row. Very interesting. And can you imagine being fortunate enough that you would have like 3 kings in a row, 3 10s in a row, 3 8s in a row? These would be very auspicious for somebody, because they're cards of success. On a material level, these would be very, very good cards to have. So I just thought that was fascinating, and I would point that out. There are lots of other patterns. Like the more we study these grand solar spreads, the more we see these interesting patterns that you don't notice at first glance. So I'm going to go back to the life spread for a second. And this is the Queen of Clubs. And I'm going to compare this to the Queen of Diamonds. And there's a lot of similarities between the Queen of Clubs and the Queen of Diamonds spreads. They're both queens, but you know, what else is there? Well, first of all, the Queen of Clubs and the Queen of Diamonds both have a 3 as their first karma card. So it's a 3 of Hearts for the Queen of Clubs, and it's a 3 of Diamonds for the Queen of Diamonds. They also have an Ace as their moon card. You can see the Ace of Clubs right behind the Queen of Clubs, and the Queen of Diamonds has an Ace of Diamonds, which is sitting right there. They both have 5s in Venus. I'm sorry, they don't have a 5 in Venus, but they do have. They have 3s in Mars. But even though one has a 5 in Venus, the 3 of Clubs that the Queen of Diamonds has Venus has a 5 of Diamonds karma card. So in essence, it has a 5 in Venus too. They both have 7s in Saturn, and they both have 9s as their cosmic lesson card. And they both have Jacks as their Pluto card. So it's very interesting. They're different suits, mind you. But both these cards have a lot in common by virtue of the fact that they have the same numbers. So they have a very similar karmic pattern. And this thing about 3s is very prominent in both of these spreads. Well, the Queen of Clubs only has 2 3s, the first karma card and the Mars card. But the Queen of Diamonds, and let me go to the Queen of Diamonds here real quick. Just give me 1 second. Da-da-da. Life spread. The Queen of Diamonds has every 3 in the deck in their life spread. So you have a 3 of clubs in Venus, 3 of spades in Mars, 3 of hearts, vertical Jupiter, and the 3 of diamonds as its first karma card. So all 4 of the 3s are found inherent in all Queen of Diamonds people. This tells you that there's a tremendous amount of Gemini and Mercury energy in all Queen of Diamonds, which explains in a way why I'm a Queen of Diamonds and an Ace of Diamonds, but the work that I do is clubs work, because clubs is connected to the number 3 and also to the Gemini or other mental signs. So these are just some of the very interesting things that you can discover about life and patterns, and we'll get into more of those later in a future lesson. And I hope you've enjoyed this one. Have a really wonderful day.